You don't belong in a place like this. Try the outlet malls on Jefferson. That was the first thing manager Sylvia Hart said the moment Zara Miles walked into Opulence Gems at 11:15 a.m., wearing jeans, a plain white t-shirt, and a quiet kind of confidence that didn't match the polished marble floors or gold-accented jewelry cases. Before we dive deeper into this story of judgment, defiance, and power, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and share if this story moves you. Now, let's step into the moment when everything began to unravel. The boutique was packed. A shipment delay had pushed availability of high-ticket items, and a crowd surge at 11:10 a.m. had brought in dozens of customers, crowding the display cases and overwhelming the front staff. Still, Sylvia stood tall near the central counter, arms folded, scanning customers like a customs officer, and the moment she saw Zara, her eyes narrowed. Sylvia was 34, dressed in a tight black blazer, voice clipped and commanding. "Appointments only today," she said without looking up from her tablet. Zara paused by the central case, eyes fixed on a diamond necklace labeled at $25,000. She said calmly, "I'm here to purchase this necklace." Behind Sylvia, sales associate Riley Tate, young, sharp-jawed, with a habit of whispering too loud, let out a laugh. "That? In those jeans?" he muttered. "You can't be serious." Sylvia smirked and shook her head. "We're only assisting serious buyers right now." Zara's tone didn't change. "I said I'm here to buy the necklace." Riley rolled his eyes and whispered. "She probably wandered in from the bus stop." Sylvia tapped her screen and said again, "No walk-ins, and certainly not without a refined presentation." Near the Baroque mirror wall, Ezra Lane, a rising L.A. musician known for his quiet demeanor, watched the scene unfold. His brows furrowed, but he said nothing. Yet, beside the emerald display, writer Tara Singh shifted uncomfortably, catching the shift in energy. Then, near the far end of the room, Lila Brooks, a young black stylist dressed in soft neutrals and sleek heels, paused mid-conversation. She looked over at Zara, then back at Sylvia, eyes narrowing, slowly, deliberately. Lila pulled out her phone and started recording. Zara's expression remained composed, but something old stirred in her chest. At 20, she'd been denied entry into a boutique store for wearing sneakers, told she couldn't afford anything inside. That memory, still sharp, fueled her rise. Now 37, she held $6 billion in assets and owned half the luxury real estate Riley probably dreamed about. She didn't shout. She didn't flinch. She stepped closer to the case and repeated, "Please pull out the necklace. I'd like to see it up close." Sylvia scoffed. "We don't entertain impulse browsers," Riley added, louder this time. "No offense, but this place isn't for everyone." Zara reached into her pocket, dialed a number, and raised the phone to her ear. "Nia, start recording. We're live at Opulence Gems." From the other end, her assistant Nia Cole responded evenly. "Audio is rolling, ma'am." Riley blinked. Sylvia frowned. Ezra took a step closer. Tara's voice, gentle but firm, floated between them. "Let's hear her out." "We're all customers here." Sylvia's tone turned steely. "This store serves individuals who respect luxury. We curate our clientele. That means looking the part." Zara lowered the phone. "Do you think wealth wears labels?" Riley smirked. "It doesn't wear fruit of the loom. I'll tell you that much." Lila's phone was still recording, now zoomed in on Sylvia's expression, tight-lipped, dismissive. Across the showroom, murmurs grew as customers began to tune in. Zara turned slightly, addressing the bystanders. "Anyone else here judged for how you're dressed?" Ezra's voice broke the tension. "This is wrong. he said. It doesn't feel right. Ms. Miles, right? Zara gave a soft nod. Ezra continued. I followed your work. You funded the Green Space Initiative in Crenshaw. You bought the textile plant and reopened it. You're the real deal. Riley laughed. Yeah, and I'm the Prince of Bel-Air. Lila spoke next, her voice cool and deliberate. I'm filming everything. By the way, just so you know. Sylvia blinked. Excuse me? Lila turned her phone so that the screen faced Sylvia, clearly showing the recording interface. This goes straight to my Dropbox, in case you try to delete it. A flush crawled up Sylvia's neck, but she recovered quickly. You can't film in here without consent, Lila answered. California law allows filming in public-facing business establishments, and trust me, the public's going to see this. Zara turned her gaze back to Sylvia. You've dishonored your brand. Sylvia's jaw clenched. Our brand has standards. So do I. Zara replied. The crowd was no longer murmuring. They were listening, watching, waiting. Riley tried to brush it off. Let's not turn this into a scene. Look, if you don't have an appointment, just come back another time. Zara stared at him. You've made this a scene. From the phone speaker, Nia's voice came through clearly. Recording is stable. Audio clean. Zara nodded. Good. Then, turning her full attention to Sylvia, she said, I'm giving you one more chance to correct this mistake. I asked to view a necklace, Sylvia replied flatly. We have policies. Please don't make this difficult, Riley added. It's not personal, but the way you walked in here, it's not what we expect. You mean the way I look? Zara said. Let's be honest. A pause. No one answered. Lila kept filming. Ezra folded his arms. Tara stepped forward. Maybe it's time to reflect. All of us. Because this feels familiar. Too familiar. Zara's voice grew quiet but clear. You judged me the second I walked in. Not by my words, not by my behavior, but by the fabric on my back. And that judgment is going to cost you more than you can afford. Sylvia's voice rose slightly. Is that a threat? No, Zara replied. It's a promise. Riley backed away a step. Sylvia held her ground, but the tension in her jaw was visible. Nia's voice came again. We're ready on our end. Ma'am. Zara nodded once. Thank you. Then, looking at Lila, she asked, You got what you needed? Lila replied. Oh, I got everything. Sylvia opened her mouth, but no words came out. The moment hung in the air, and in that space, filled with silence and hidden truths, the reckoning had only just begun. Sylvia Hart took one small step back, as if the weight of Lila's recording phone suddenly shifted the air, but the mask of superiority didn't drop. Instead, she turned to sales associate Riley and barked, Check the appointment book again. Make sure she's not faking anything. Riley, lips curled in a sneer, tapped the screen of his tablet with deliberate slowness and said loud enough for customers to hear. No appointment under Zara. Miles. He paused and smirked. Unless you go by a different name at bus stops. Sylvia folded her arms and turned back to Zara, voice sharp. We run by appointment only, and we do not tolerate disturbances. Zara's calm didn't waver. Disturbance? She repeated. You're disturbed by a black woman in jeans? Riley muttered. You don't look like the type that drops $250,000 in one visit. That line earned a sharp glance from Ezra Lane, who now stood fully turned toward the trio, arms crossed, jaw tight. That's the second time you've assumed her worth based on her clothes, he said evenly. You might want to stop talking. But Sylvia was already spiraling. She stepped around the counter, her heels clicking on polished marble as she gestured to a nearby display. These pieces are hand-selected for high-tier clients. They aren't casual browsing items. We've had issues before, people trying to get selfies with the jewelry, wasting our time. So forgive us if we're cautious. Zara raised her phone slightly. Nia? Her assistant's voice came through clearly. Recording continues. Timestamp logged. 10:47 seconds. Tara Singh stepped closer and spoke directly to Sylvia, her voice low but audible. I've been a customer here for years. This is the first time I've seen someone refused service without so much as a glance at their ID or name. Sylvia turned to her. We're under stress. A shipment's late. Our best pieces aren't even available right now. We're filtering access to what we do have, Riley chimed in. And frankly, this isn't the image Opulence wants in its VIP showcase footage. That caught Lila's attention. So you're not just profiling for the moment. You're preserving a curated image. Sylvia looked toward Riley sharply. A silent order to hush. But it was too late. Lila continued. You do realize that what you're saying is exactly what people post about in those Yelp reviews? Attitude, judgment, bias. Sylvia stiffened. Those reviews are exaggerated. Zara, phone still in hand, didn't raise her voice. You don't need a review to see this is who you are. Owen Price, the security guard, approached from the side entrance, eyes scanning the tension-heavy room. Sylvia turned and snapped. She has no appointment. Please escort her out, calmly. Owen nodded but hesitated as he looked directly at Zara. He recognized something. Authority. Maybe. Or the weight of too many eyes locked onto him in a moment that could spiral. He stepped toward her slowly. Ma'am, I need to ask you to leave the showroom unless you can show. Show what? Zara cut in. That I'm worthy of breathing the same air as you? That my bank balance can dress up your assumptions? Owen's hand twitched at his belt, not for a weapon, but in a show of instinct. Not aggression. Tension, Riley barked. She's stalling. Just get her out already. Lila kept filming. Ezra spoke up. You touch her, and that footage goes viral before she hits the sidewalk. Owen looked toward Sylvia. Are you sure there's no appointment? Sylvia didn't even check. I already said it. There's nothing under her name. From the phone, Nia's voice cut through again. Confirmed. Zara Miles has the 11:15 a.m. consultation booking, entered on Friday at 9:02 a.m. Pacific. Confirmed via Opulence's own scheduling system. Saved screen capture sent to you now. Ma'am. Sylvia froze, the muscles in her face flickering as her control cracked. Riley leaned over the counter, eyes wide. Wait, what? Nia added. I also have audio from your earlier denial. This is no longer just internal. It's evidence. Zara's voice dropped to a razor's edge. So tell me again, Sylvia, do I belong here now? Sylvia tried to rally. There must have been a mistake in the system. It's possible someone... But before she could finish, Riley's face turned pale. I may have adjusted the queue Friday morning, he stammered. We had a walk-in from one of our longtime clients and... And? Tara asked sharply. Riley swallowed. Sylvia said to prioritize the client who looked more promising. She didn't say it directly, but... But what? Zara pressed. Riley's voice cracked. But she said we don't waste time on people who don't understand our brand. She told me to look for cues. You know, presentation, manner, fit. So, Ezra said, you're trained to judge people on how expensive they look. Silence. The kind that presses into skin and memory. Owen's voice, low, shook slightly. I was told to remove anyone who doesn't look like they'd leave a tip, Sylvia hissed. Stop talking. But it was too late. Nia's voice returned. Audio saved, transcribed, name tags confirmed. Lila lifted her phone higher. This story is already writing itself. Sylvia turned to Owen. Remove them all. Her, the filmer, everyone who's turning this into chaos. Owen didn't move. His jaw clenched. Not this time. Tara stepped between Sylvia and Zara, her voice steely now. You asked for this. Sylvia, this isn't a breakdown. It's a mirror. And you're cracking. Zara's voice was steady as granite. Bias isn't just in policy. It's in tone, in who you greet first, who you trust, who you push out the door. Riley's lips quivered. I'm sorry. I really am. I just wanted to keep my job. You lost it the moment you judged me by a t-shirt, Zara said. The crowd, once scattered, had become a still circle. A quiet courtroom. No shouting. Just slow-burning realization. Nia, ever precise, said into the phone. We're drafting the escalation file now. Ma'am, ready when you are. Zara's gaze didn't leave Sylvia's face. The necklace I came here to see. Fetch it. Sylvia blinked. What? The necklace, Zara repeated. I'll wait. While you go get it. Or would you rather I ask someone else to retrieve it? For my records. Owen looked down, then toward the back. I'll get it, he said quietly. Sylvia didn't stop him. She couldn't. Because for the first time that morning, everyone in that showroom understood what was happening. This wasn't a scene. It was a reckoning. Owen Price returned from the back room holding the velvet tray with the $25,000 diamond necklace. But his hands were trembling, not from the weight of the piece, but from the weight of what he was walking into. He stepped toward Zara with lowered eyes, placed the tray on the counter without a word, and stepped back like a man unsure of which side he was on anymore. But before Zara could even reach for the tray, Sylvia blocked the display with her arm and snapped. We're done here. This display isn't for theatrics, Riley added under his breath. She's stalling for footage, probably trying to sue. Owen opened his mouth, hesitated, then closed it again. Lila's phone was still rolling. Her lens caught the tight fury in Zara's face, the subtle shift from measured patience to deep, seething insult. Ezra moved closer to the counter and said quietly, You should let her see it. Just do the right thing. But Sylvia didn't move. Instead, she tilted her head and said loudly, If you are who you say you are, then prove it. Show some ID. Maybe that will clear this up. Zara took a slow breath and reached for her purse, but before she could unzip it, Owen, flustered, stepped forward and grabbed her arm, pulling it back with just enough force to dislodge the slim gold watch from her wrist. It hit the marble floor with a crisp metallic ring. The room went completely silent. Tara gasped. Ezra stepped in instinctively. Hey, he shouted, back off! Lila zoomed in on Owen's hand, now hovering in midair as if even he didn't understand what he'd just done. Zara stared at her arm, then down at her watch. Her voice didn't rise. It dropped lower, heavier. Pick that up, she said. Owen froze. Ma'am, I didn't. Pick it up, she repeated, slowly. Owen bent down and retrieved the watch. He handed it to her, his face pale. Sylvia, unfazed, scoffed. Now we're being dramatic. If this were anyone else. But I'm not anyone else, Zara said, eyes locked on Sylvia's. I booked an appointment. I asked politely. I was insulted, dismissed, physically handled, and denied the basic dignity offered to anyone in this room. She turned toward Owen. And you, why did you grab me? Owen looked like he wanted to vanish. I was told. Told by whom? Nia's voice, still coming through the phone in Zara's hand, answered flatly. Sylvia Hart instructed Owen Price by internal policy to remove undesirables, quoted directly from last week's internal log. Friday, 2:16 p.m. Riley's face twisted. Wait, how'd you get that log? Your systems aren't as exclusive as your attitudes, Nia replied. I've been auditing them since the moment we walked in. Sylvia's voice cracked. You accessed internal logs? That's not legal. Neither is targeted discrimination, Zara said. She glanced around the room. You wanted proof of who I am? She turned her phone outward, showing a live video feed. Nia's voice narrated calmly. Broadcasting to internal stakeholders. Hello, board members. Sylvia's face drained of all color. Wait, board? What board? Your board, Nia said. The one that will no longer include you by end of day. Riley let out a dry laugh, nervous, twitching. Is this some prank? Is this for a show? Tara stepped forward. You don't recognize her? That's Zara Miles, Miles Lux Group. You've got her face on the cover of Global Enterprise last quarter. Sylvia's eyes flickered. That's impossible. Zara nodded once. You asked for ID. Here it is. I own 48% of Luxstar Holdings. As of 9 a.m. this morning, I also hold rights of acquisition on Opulence's parent chain, signed under my proxy. Riley staggered back. This can't be real. Real enough, Nia answered. The deal has clauses triggered by footage, formal complaints, and board violation audits, all now satisfied. Ezra exhaled slowly. So all of this was a test? Zara looked at him. No, it was an opportunity. And they failed. Owen opened his mouth again, but this time it was to confess. Ma'am, I was the one who deleted your appointment from the guest register. Heads turned. Lila zoomed in. You what? Tara asked. Owen didn't try to defend himself. I was told to prioritize clients that fit the opulence aesthetic. I shouldn't have listened, I thought. You thought wrong, Zara said, without bitterness, just truth. And now you have to live with that. Sylvia stepped in quickly. He was just following policy. Don't punish the staff for a company culture. You built the culture, Nia snapped. Your fingerprints are all over the directives. Zara walked slowly around the central counter, eyes scanning the silent room of customers, staff, and bystanders, some still pretending to browse, others frozen mid-step. I've received reports about this location for months. Elitist treatment, racial profiling, disrespect toward younger clients, customers turned away because of sneakers, headscarves, or tattoos. I came to see if it was true, and you didn't even hesitate to prove it. Sylvia stammered. We had a busy day. The crowd, the delays. It wasn't personal. No, Zara said softly. It never is. Until it is. Lila stopped recording and tucked her phone away. I got everything, she said quietly. Every word. Riley sank down onto a low stool behind the counter. I didn't know who you were. I thought you were just another... He stopped himself. Zara filled in the rest. Just another black woman in a t-shirt. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Ezra looked over at Zara. So what now? For the first time that day, she smiled. It was subtle, cold, calm. Now, I go to the back office and complete the acquisition of this chain. Sylvia gasped. You're buying opulence? Already bought, Nia confirmed, pending final voice authorization. And then what? Tara asked. Then, Zara said, we clean house, and we rebuild it right. She turned to Lila. You coming with me? Lila blinked. Me? You recorded truth, Zara said. Come witness how we end the lie. Sylvia's voice snapped through the air like a whip, sharp and panicked, as she pointed toward Owen and barked. Remove her! Right now! I don't care who she says she is! But Owen didn't move. Not because he couldn't, but because his feet had somehow fused to the polished marble beneath him. His eyes darted between Sylvia's outstretched hand and Zara's calm, unblinking gaze. Do it! Sylvia shrieked, her voice cracking under the pressure of a dozen watching customers and the heat of her own unraveling control. Riley added fuel with a muttered, "If she really bought the chain, why is she still standing here?" Lila's phone had resumed filming, the red record dot pulsing at the top of her screen as she shifted position to catch the confrontation head-on. Zara didn't flinch. She stood at the heart of the showroom, the diamond necklace tray untouched before her, her watch clipped loosely back onto her wrist like armor. "Go ahead, Owen," she said softly. "If you think I don't have every word you've spoken logged, try it." Customers who had once been passive now began to stir. One older couple near the back shook their heads in quiet disbelief. A younger woman whispered, "This is the one from Forbes, right?" Ezra moved to Zara's side without hesitation, his voice firm but calm. "She's not going anywhere. And neither are we." Sylvia's hand trembled but stayed lifted. "You don't understand. This store has standards, expectations. I built that." "No," Zara said, her voice low and weighty. "You built a wall." Tara took a step forward, placing herself between Sylvia and Owen, her brow tight with fury, her voice cutting and direct. "Sylvia Hart, I've been coming here for 7 years, and I've heard what you whisper when you think no one is listening." Sylvia blinked. "Excuse me?" "You have rules," Tara said. "Unwritten, verbal, poisonous rules. I heard you tell a trainee last month not to serve anyone with more denim than diamonds. 2 years ago, you called a hijab a distraction from luxury." The crowd murmured. Lila zoomed in on Sylvia's face, catching the subtle recoil, the half-second of recognition, the crumbling mask. "I thought I misheard," Tara continued, "but I didn't. And now it's time everyone else heard it too." Sylvia's breath hitched. "This is all out of context. I was under pressure. You don't understand the clientele we deal with." Zara didn't move. She didn't raise her voice. She simply said, "Nia?" Her assistant's voice came clearly over speakerphone. "Tara Singh's testimony confirmed. I also have 4 flagged Yelp reviews echoing similar language from Sylvia. Verified by account history and posted timestamps." Riley looked stunned. "They actually posted that?" "They did," Nia replied. "You just didn't care enough to read it." Owen, hands visibly shaking, took a step back from Sylvia. "I heard it too," he admitted, voice hoarse. 2 days ago, you told me to watch the entrances for anyone dressed like a discount bin." Sylvia turned on him. "That was just an expression." "No," Zara said. "It was policy, verbal, unwritten, and deadly," Ezra added. "You've been judging people before they speak, before they breathe. That's not luxury. That's cowardice." Sylvia, cornered and shrinking, muttered, "I was trying to protect the brand." "You became the brand," Tara replied coldly. "And it's rotten." Riley looked like he wanted to disappear. I didn't know she was this serious." "You didn't ask," Zara said. "You saw jeans and made your judgment." Sylvia staggered back a step, bumping into the necklace case. "You can't prove any of this in court." "I don't need a courtroom," Zara replied. "I have the showroom, I have the customers, I have the footage, and I have your voice." Nia's voice echoed over the phone, crisp and final. "Corporate confirms. Termination approvals processed. Sylvia Hart, Riley Tate, Owen Price, all released effective immediately." A gasp swept the room. Sylvia's mouth opened, then closed. Riley sat down hard on the stool behind the register, his face hollow. Owen didn't argue. He didn't even blink. He just lowered his head. But Zara wasn't done. She turned toward Lila. "Show me the footage." Lila approached, flipping her phone around, playing back the scene of Sylvia sneering at Zara near the entrance, Riley's mocking voice in the background, and Owen grabbing Zara's arm. She stopped the video and looked up. "It's all here. Every second, Zara nodded once, then turned to Tara. And your words? Tara looked around at the room and then back at Zara. You have my voice. Publicly, privately, however you need it. Thank you, Zara said. Not just for speaking up, but for staying. The energy shifted. Something cold was lifting. Ezra moved closer. What happens next? Justice, Zara said. And rebuilding. She looked at the tray with the necklace, then back at the crowd. But first, ownership. Sylvia stood in stunned silence, unable to speak. Riley stared down at his hands. Owen didn't move. And across the room, customers who once looked past Zara now looked at her with something closer to awe, or maybe hope, because what had started as a dismissal had become something else entirely. A reckoning built from silence, and a promise that silence would never be allowed to settle here again. Zara Miles stepped forward, her heels clicking slowly across the marble showroom floor as every eye followed her movement. Silence thick in the air. She stopped beside the necklace tray, the same one she had been denied minutes earlier, and looked up at Sylvia Hart, Riley Tate, and Owen Price, 3 employees who had dismissed her, mocked her, and laid bare the invisible systems so many had felt but never seen proven, with the weight of truth hanging between them. Zara took out her phone, tapped a single button, and said with a clear, even voice, "This is Zara Miles, CEO of Miles Lux Group. As of this moment, I am the sole majority owner of Opulence Gems and its parent company. Effective immediately, this location, and every store in the chain, is under my operational control." Gasps spread across the room. Riley's mouth opened in disbelief, his head shaking. Sylvia stepped back as if she'd been slapped. Owen didn't move, his posture crumpling further by the second. Zara's gaze didn't waver. "Ms. Hart, Mr. Tate, Mr. Price, you are all terminated. Your conduct has violated the very standards you claim to uphold. You judged by attire, not character, by class, not respect. You humiliated clients and disregarded dignity. That ends now." Lila's camera was still rolling, capturing the moment Sylvia opened her mouth to speak, but failed to form a single word. Riley stuttered. This isn't right. I was just doing what I was told. I didn't make the rules." "No," Zara said coolly. "But you enforced them. Eagerly." Nia's voice crackled through the phone speaker again. "Terminations logged and time-stamped. Internal files forwarded to HR and Ethics Review Board. Security override in progress for badge deactivation." "Ma'am, you're clear to proceed," Sylvia snapped. "This is a setup, a trap. You were baiting us." "No," Zara replied. "I was giving you a chance to rise above the bias, to serve with integrity. You made your choice." She turned to Riley. "And speaking of choices, is there anything else you want to disclose before this footage becomes part of your professional legacy?" Riley's face crumpled, the bravado draining from him like air from a punctured tire. "There's something," he muttered. "Something I never meant to come out." "Say it," Ezra said firmly. "Out loud." Riley glanced at Sylvia, then at Owen, then finally at Zara. "For the past 13 months, I've been flagging customer complaints about attire-based treatment. Complaints came in from Yelp, Google, even internal surveys. Some were from walk-ins, others from longtime clients who said they felt watched, dismissed, judged." Lila inhaled sharply. "You knew?" Riley nodded. "I logged them, all of them, in a private file. I never pushed them up the chain. Sylvia said it would make the store look unstable. She told me to keep it clean." Sylvia exploded. "That's a lie. I never." "You did," Riley said. "And I have your Slack messages." "You said. Attire doesn't lie. Focus on the polished ones." Nia confirmed. File located, hidden under a folder labeled Client Tone Reports. 18 flagged incidents, all suppressed. Confirmed Riley's authorship. 8 linked directly to Sylvia Hart's verbal instructions. The room was dead silent. Then a slow murmur began to ripple across the floor, customers turning to each other, expressions twisting in disbelief. Then anger. One woman whispered, "I remember being followed around here last fall. I thought I was imagining it." Another man near the Sapphire case said, "This explains a lot." Tara stepped forward again, voice clear and strong. "You've been covering this up, and you had every chance to speak out earlier." Riley looked down. "I was scared, but not too scared to smirk when you thought she was beneath you." Ezra snapped. Zara's expression didn't soften. "You let people walk away from this store feeling small, disrespected, humiliated, and you knew. You let it continue. That's not fear. That's complicity." Sylvia tried one last time. "You can't take it all away. We built this." "No," Zara said calmly. "You built something toxic. I'm going to rebuild something better." She turned toward the other customers, speaking now to the entire room. "This place, starting today, will stand for something different. Not polish, not pretense, but respect, integrity, presence." She tapped her phone again. "Nia, begin rollout of the Valor Respect Initiative. I want retraining scheduled for every store, every location, and a new leadership team vetted and installed within the week." "Already in motion," Nia replied. "PR is on standby. Internal memo drafted and awaiting approval." Zara looked once more at the tray in front of her. The same necklace that had been denied her access simply because of a t-shirt and jeans. She didn't touch it. Instead, she looked at Lila. "You were brave enough to record what others ignored. What do you think? Should we keep it in rotation?" Lila blinked. "What?" "The necklace," Zara said. "Should it stay?" Lila smiled slightly. "Keep it, but not in the front window. Keep it inside. For those who ask, not those who assume." Zara nodded. "Exactly," Sylvia, now ghost pale, whispered. "You've destroyed everything." "No," Zara replied. "I've only just begun." Zara walked through the glass doors at the rear of the showroom into the minimalist executive office. Sleek white walls, a clear glass desk, and a silent computer monitor blinking with a login prompt. The door eased shut behind her, muffling the noise outside. She stood alone for only a second before Nia's voice came through her earpiece. "Connection stable. Legal counsel on standby. Transfer protocol ready when you are." Zara pulled out her phone, unlocked it with a press of her thumb, and tapped a secure app marked Miles Ops. The screen lit up with the Opulence Holdings logo. Soon to be retired. She didn't sit. She stood tall as she spoke into the mic. "Execute transfer. Full acquisition authority. New ownership to operate under Valor Jewel Co. Effective immediately." "Confirmed," Nia replied. "Shareholder transfer registered. Public filing will reflect ownership change in 60 seconds. Zara allowed herself a single breath. Then she turned and walked back through the same doors. When she re-entered the showroom, the air had shifted. Sylvia no longer stood upright. Her posture had collapsed into the corner of the display wall. Riley remained on his stool, staring at the ground. Owen looked like he was trapped in a story he no longer recognized. Customers had started murmuring again. The way people do after witnessing something historic and not knowing where to place the moment in their minds. Zara stepped back into the center of the floor, holding her phone loosely in one hand. "To every customer here," she said calmly, "you've witnessed more than a transaction. You've witnessed a transition. Opulence Gems is no more. This is now Valor Jewel Co. A few people clapped softly. Others simply stared. But then Ezra stepped forward. What you just did. This wasn't just about jewelry. You made a point without raising your voice. You changed something. No, Zara said. We changed it. All of us. Because silence doesn't protect anyone, but presence does. She turned toward Sylvia. I want you gone. Immediately. Don't speak. Don't stall. Just walk. Sylvia's face twisted, but no words came. She walked, slowly, quietly, out the front door. Zara turned to Riley. You'll be given an exit interview. No spin. Just the truth. Riley didn't argue. Understood. Then she faced Owen. You haven't said much since you grabbed my arm, but something tells me there's more you've been holding. Owen swallowed hard, then stepped forward. There is, and I'm not proud of it. Go on, Zara said. Say it here. Say it now. Owen exhaled like a man releasing a secret that had rotted in his chest. This wasn't just one bad day. There was a plan in place, unofficial, unspoken, but understood, a system of rotating logs. We were told to watch for certain types of people, anyone in plain clothes, anyone too young, too loud, too different. We flagged them. Sylvia had us categorize them as non-target demographics. I was the one tasked with deleting those flags after each week so there'd be no audit trail. The showroom seemed to shudder in place. Customers turned to each other, horrified. Lila raised her phone again. So you deleted complaints? Owen nodded, voice barely above a whisper. 82. In the past year alone. Tara let out a choked sound. That's not just bias. That's sabotage, Ezra added. That's a system built on exclusion. Nia's voice came in steady over the speaker. Ma'am, confirmation received. Internal network confirms complaint deletions tied to Owen Price's admin login. Downloaded backup retrieved, 82 entries, all time-stamped, all removed manually. This wasn't negligence. It was coordinated concealment. Owen lowered his eyes. I'm sorry. I really am. But sorry doesn't undo it. No, Zara said. But owning it is the first step. You weren't just following orders. You were helping cover them up, and that cost real people real dignity. Owen nodded slowly. I'll cooperate, fully. Whatever you need. You'll sign a written confession, Zara said. Then you'll leave. No second chances. Understood, he whispered. Lila stepped forward, holding her phone to her chest now, no longer recording. So what happens to this place now? Now, Zara said. Now we start over. She turned toward the back wall and gestured to the old opulence logo in gold letters. Take that down. It doesn't belong here anymore. Then, lifting her voice to address the entire showroom, she said, Valor Jewel Co. will be more than a name. It'll be a promise. A promise that what you wear will never matter more than how you're treated, Nia added. Valor Respect Initiative fully activated. Training begins chain-wide tomorrow morning. Statement to be published across all platforms. Ezra nodded in approval. Tara wiped her eyes. It's about time. And in the center of it all, with the remnants of humiliation still floating in the air, Zara stood with both feet planted and one message radiating from her presence. This place will never be the same again. By the time Sylvia, Riley, and Owen had cleared the showroom floor, a quiet stillness settled over the space, not the uncomfortable kind that follows a storm, but the kind that marks the start of something new. Customers lingered, not to browse, but to watch the final moments of a shift that felt long overdue. Zara stood near the central display, her hands clasped in front of her, eyes calm but purposeful. Nia's voice came through one last time. Press release published. Valor Jewel Co. Trending across internal news circuits. Public statement up. Retraining scheduled at all 28 locations. Zara nodded. Good. Let every store know this is the new standard. Dignity before diamonds. Ezra, still standing near the window, turned to her. You really did it. Not just the firing, the healing. Not yet, Zara replied softly, but we're on the path. Then, from the back of the room, a quiet voice spoke. Miss Miles? A woman, mid-50s, modest black blazer, soft voice, stepped forward. I used to work here. I left last fall. Zara turned. You are? Camille Edwards. I was a client liaison. I quit because of the policies Sylvia put in place. I didn't fight hard enough back then. But I want you to know. I heard the things she said. The rules about who to greet, who to ignore. I saw the reports Riley buried. I'm ashamed I didn't speak up. I'm sorry. Zara walked closer. Thank you for saying that. It matters. Camille's voice cracked. If there's a chance to make it right, to rebuild, I'd like to be part of it. Zara nodded. Come see me Monday morning. Camille exhaled, overwhelmed. Thank you. Just then, Lila stepped forward, holding her phone, not to record, but to offer it to Zara. Here's your copy of the footage, no edits. It's yours to use however you choose. Zara accepted the device, locking eyes with her. Keep a copy. One day, people will ask how this change began. Around them. Customers slowly began to applaud, not wildly, not loudly, but with quiet reverence, a ripple of respect, earned and shared. Tara stepped to Zara's side and said, You didn't just buy a chain today. You rewrote what service looks like. I didn't do it alone, Zara replied. Everyone who stood up today, everyone who didn't look away, they wrote it too. Nia's voice came in gently. Ready for your closing statement, ma'am. Zara turned toward the group still gathered. To anyone who's ever been judged by the cut of their jeans or the tone of their skin, know this, your worth has never depended on a price tag. From this day forward, Valor Jewel Co. will lead by a different rule. Respect is not optional. It's the baseline. She glanced toward the wall where the old Opulence logo had already been pulled down, leaving only a clean, bare space. Let that empty wall remind us, what was torn down made space for what's about to rise. Camille smiled, tears forming. Ezra nodded, voice soft. It's about time. In the epilogue that followed, the story only deepened. 1 year later, Valor Jewel Co. was named one of the most inclusive luxury brands in North America. Its customer base grew, not because of glossy ads, but because of trust. Former staff who had been dismissed for speaking out were rehired. A community fund, launched by Zara and named the Valor Respect Foundation, provided grants for young entrepreneurs who'd been turned away for not fitting the mold. And in stores across the country, dress code assumptions quietly faded. Sales grew, but so did confidence, so did humanity, so did the quiet joy of being seen. And as for Zara, she never once wore a suit when visiting her stores. She always arrived in jeans and a plain white tee, just to see who was paying attention to the person, not the packaging. If you've ever been dismissed, silenced, or underestimated because of how you looked, this story is for you. If it moved you, share it. Let someone else know that respect begins where judgment ends. Change doesn't start with a press release. It starts with a choice. Make yours count.